Okay, I think we're going to get started. I've just hit the record button. Thanks to those of you that were able to join us, and I know that others are going to be accessing the recording. So a real thanks to Thandiwe Menze from the library, the Specialist Librarian in Science and Pharmacy. One of the issues around doing a form of knowledge synthesis where you're trying to get a handle on what literature is available on a particular phenomenon or using a particular methodology is that you need to have a sense of which are the key databases and how one navigates those databases. So we had a really nice session with Linda and Jill. And today we're going to be looking at databases that are more specifically for science, natural sciences and pharmacy, and very appreciative of Thandiwe for her time and sharing her expertise with us today. Over to you, Thandiwe. We can't hear you. I don't know if you still... There we go. Perfect. Yeah, that's full screen.
Yes.
Great.
I've clicked on the unmute button. Can you hear me now?
Can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Sue. Once again, my name is Thandiwe Menze. I'm going to be showing you tips for effective literature searches on science and pharmacy databases. And just before we begin, I prepared a little PowerPoint because I had a little things that I wanted to share with you. Can we move on to the next slide, Sue?
You should be able to do it, I think, on your side. If you just hover your mouse down the bottom left, yes. I think.
Okay, yeah. Okay, before Perfect. One begins a search, okay, thank you. Before one begins the search, one will need to simplify the research question that you want to answer. You will also use your simplified research question to help you pick out keywords to use in the actual search. I find that before I pick out keywords, I would like to do a little reading up on the background information on the major areas of the topic. And I'm sure I'm not supposed to admit this, but I will use Wikipedia just to do a quick read up on the actual topic and to actually see what the topic is about. Okay, so once you've decided on your keywords, you will then need to decide on which databases to search. Now, I want to make mention that no two databases will contain identical content. So it's very important that you know which databases are required for your specific field and to explore as many databases as you can. You don't want to just, you don't want to focus on one database and run the risk of excluding valuable information. Okay, so the types of online databases that we have in the library, we have a collection of subscription-based databases, for example, like Web of Science, and we also have free-based databases that we don't need to subscribe to, like PubMed, but they are also included on our catalog. So if you just do a search on the databases, you should be able to find PubMed and all the other free databases. Okay, now I'm not sure if this is visible on your screen, but I'll just explain it. Now, when you're doing a search on online databases, you have the option of either doing advanced searching or basic searching. The basic searching is the default search and doesn't require much from you, but with the advanced searching, which is the preferred searching, you have the option of using multiple keywords. You have pull-down menus that you can use. On the left-hand side of most databases, the pull-down menu will contain Boolean operators. You'll see that when we go in. On the right-hand side, the pull-down menus will have options that you can use to refine your search. For instance, author, title, keyword, phrases, or abstracts. You also have the option of not picking any of these and just leave it at all. Okay. Okay, so I just picked out one database as an example. EBSCO host is not a freestanding database on its own, but it is an example of an aggregator. An aggregator will have a host of other databases, and when you go into EBSCO host, you will see that there will be databases for the natural sciences, and there will also be a collection of databases for the humanities section. And I've just picked out a few that we're going to be looking at. Academic Search Premier is a multidisciplinary database, so it can be used across disciplines. And then we're also going to be using Health Source, Consumer Edition, Health Source, Nursing Academic Edition, and Medline. When we do the hands-on portion of the presentation. Okay. So for the hands-on session, before I leave my PowerPoint presentation, these are the key terms that we're going to be looking at. You will see that we have several search examples. We're not going to be doing all of them, but there are just a few things that I want to show you that are going to be very helpful for you. And I'll be explaining as I carry out the search. We're also going to be looking at Scifinder N. And in Scifinder N is a research discovery application that provides integrated access to the world's most comprehensive and authoritative sources of references, substances, reactions, and chemistry and related sciences. In Scifinder N, I will show you that you don't need to use key terms and put them in Boolean operators or apply Boolean operators, but you can just do a natural language search. Okay. And then to end, we will pick one of these databases, perhaps Web of Science, and then we will do an example of key terms. And I will explain why I've got them in exactly this format when we do the actual search. Okay, so these are my references. I'm going to stop share and we're going to do the hands-on session. Okay. So I'm going off to my browser and sharing the screen. Now, I'm assuming that everyone can get to the pharmacy subject guide. The reason that I have it up is because my internet connection is very slow today, and I didn't want to take chances to show you the step-by-step section. So from the pharmacy subject guide, you will then select the databases that you want to use. I'm going to leave this screen and move on to a different screen. Okay. We're going to start off with EBSCO host search multiple databases. Sue, can you indicate for me if you can see EBSCO host?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have now landed on EBSCO host. Remember I said that Academic Search Premier was a multidisciplinary database, so it will always have the default, so it will always be ticked. We're then going to proceed to select the databases that we want to use for our specific field. So I'm then selecting Health Source Consumer Edition, Health Source Nursing Academic Edition, as well as Medline. And I will click Continue right at the bottom. Okay, remember I mentioned that in each database you have the option of doing either a basic search or an advanced search. I prefer the advanced search. Okay, so these are the menus that I was telling you about, the Boolean operators on the left-hand side, as well as the author, title, subject, terms, abstract on the right-hand side. So the first key term that we're going to be looking at is health promotion. The reason I like starting in EBSCO is because I actually use it as a cheat sheet myself to see or get an idea of the types of keywords that one can use. You will see that EBSCO will provide you with key terms that have been indexed, which makes it easy for you. So you might come with your own collection of keywords, and EBSCO will also give you an idea of what else is out there. So I'm going to click on health promotion. And the next key term is women's health. Okay, so there I select women's health, and then I'm going to click on search. Once I have my results on EBSCO, I'm going to show you how to then refine your search further. We are going to use several key terms to refine our searches. So we have a total of 12,262 results. On the left-hand side of the screen, you have the option of refining your search. Now, I want to point out that on EBSCO, they do have a facility where they will add non-scholarly peer-reviewed articles. So if you want to stick to scholarly peer-reviewed, you also have to be very careful to tick that box so that you refine your search. Okay, it's refining. I'm just going to point out that it also has a timeline that you want to use to refine searches further. So you can select the years. So you see our results have moved down from 12,000 to 11,000. So I'm going to move that timeline, and I want to have articles that were published in the last 10 years. So now we have 7,000. Okay, so let's move further. Okay, so we can further refine according to age as well as geography. I'm going to click on the age tab. And let's say we select the years from 19 years and above, as well as 45 and 64. Okay. Okay, so now I have 1,000. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clear that because there's a simpler way of doing it. Just select more than one. What I should have done was click on show more and then selected 19 and above and 54 and 64 and then update. Okay, so now I have a total of 2,990 articles. Then I want to further refine them according to geography. I click on the geography tab, show more. So that tells me that in India, there are 24 articles, in California, 24. So I'm going to select just India and update. So from the 12,000, I am now left with 24 articles. So I have shown you how to carry out a search. I've shown you how to refine the search. Are there any questions before I move on? Sue, do you prefer that we take questions at the very end?
I think it's totally up to you, but I think maybe what I should just say is people just put any questions in the comments, and I'll keep an eye on those. So if there is anything that should be dealt with immediately, I'll interrupt, but otherwise we'll chat at the end. Okay. So yeah, everyone just feel free to use the chat. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'll proceed. The next database that we're going to be looking at is Scifinder N. Now, what I did was I proceeded to do the search because I could see that my internet was very slow and I didn't want to hold us up. But I'm sure most users know that with Scifinder N, you need to create your own profile. So you need to have login details, and it takes you a total of 24 hours before your profile is activated. You can only use Scifinder N if you have created your profile. If you haven't created the profile, you will not be able to use Scifinder N. So I went ahead and typed in antimicrobial resistance in the environment. Remember, I said that with Scifinder N, you can use a natural language search. Now, if there were substances, then we would have results over there. If there were reactions, we would have results over there. So we have a total of references. These are 12,536. I'm just going to open.
Am I the only one that's lost sound?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. Just suddenly thought I couldn't hear. Oh, it's just taking a long time to load.
Yes. I'm not sure how long it's going to take because earlier it took me more than 10 minutes. Perhaps I should move on and maybe revert back to Scifinder N. Okay. Oh, wait. It logged me out. Okay, let me move on to Web of Science. Okay, so again, sorry for the staged searches, but I wanted to make sure that I don't waste any time. So I went ahead and carried out the search. Remember in the PowerPoint, I had an example of the key terms that we were going to use. So I have waste water treatment. I have them in brackets because that is a phrase. And when you use phrases in databases, you want to make sure that you put them in quotation marks. And the reason for that is you want to instruct your database that you are looking up for a phrase, that you get results that are applicable to your particular search. Or sewage treatment, because it's a phrase, I also have it in quotation marks, and I have it in one bracket because the two phrases can be used interchangeably, similar to synonyms. And I have and as a connector, and I've got open bracket, physical or chemical or biological. And the reason I've got the asterisk in chemical is because I am applying truncation or wildcard. So I will get results for chemical or results for chemicals. And I have a total of 10,570 results. And these are the results. Now, let me just explain what we have in front of us. On the left-hand side of the screen, we have a breakdown of the results. You can see that we've got publication years. The brackets tells us how many articles have been published for that particular year. And the articles have been grouped according to the categories in Web of Science. So you've got some from environmental science, you've got some from water resources, which apply. I'm just going to, as well as biotechnology and microbiology. So I'm going to select water sources and biotechnology and refine. Okay, so our articles have gone down to 3,614. And you can see that they are also grouped according to document types. So we've got articles that are 3,232. You've got conference proceedings, reviews, and early access, as well as discussions. Are there any questions, Sue?
No, I think all is good. Everyone's very quiet today.
Yeah.
Hopefully that means everyone's following nicely.
Okay, and I see, okay, can I leave the Web of Science and then go to, okay, let me just try to log in. I hope it doesn't take me forever. Okay, So these are the results that I have. So you will see that, like in all the other databases, the key terms that you use in your search will be highlighted. On the left-hand side, you'll see that you get a breakdown of the results that you have. You can limit according to language. You can limit according to document type. So we have a total of 10,000 journals, 1,398 patents, 2,301 reviews, 1 biography, and 8 books. And of course, you can use this particular resource for many other functions. You can use it for chemical reactions, you can use it to draw your substances, and you can just explore with this particular Scifinder N. Do we have any questions, Sue?
No questions, and James says everything is clear. So that's good.
Okay. Okay. I tried to just limit it to a few databases because I didn't want to have a lot to say and leave people behind. And I also tried to keep it very basic and hoping that if people wanted to expand on the particular databases, then maybe they would have questions or maybe they could have questions at a later stage if they wanted to. And of course, I'm going back to the subject guide. Now, all these databases are accessible. I hope you guys are not seeing the alerts. Okay. All these databases are available on our subject guides. I have grouped them according to subject databases as well as multidisciplinary databases. Okay. And the links are hyperlinked. And please make sure that if you want to access the databases, that you use the subject guide as your first port of call, because then it makes it much simpler for you to access the databases that are for your particular subject. Okay. I'm going to stop. Hello?
Okay. No, I was going to interrupt you and just say that I must say I found the subject guides, library guides, really very useful. Very well put together. One of the things you have to do with the knowledge synthesis, depending on which kind of knowledge synthesis methodology is being used, but one of the things you need to do is to be able to explain to your readers which databases you used for your search and on what basis you selected those. So, and unfortunately, I suppose it's not a good reason to say, well, I chose it because it was on my university's library guide. But they would need to be able to argue, well, it's because it's the dominant database in the field, or because it's got the highest, it's got all the high citation journals in it, or what have you. And I guess that some databases are much more specialized, like your Access Pharmacy, for example, is going to be much more specialized, I presume, than your EBSCO host.
Yes.
So, which means, I guess, that there's no answer to my question. My question is, what databases would you say are an absolute must for someone who's doing a knowledge synthesis in your field? But I guess there's no answer because it would depend what field it is. Are there some databases that are really very, very dominant? Maybe I can also ask James, because I see James is in the room. Are there some databases that are very dominant, and maybe there's some that are very dominant in environmental science, and it's a completely different one, like PubMed or something for your pharmacy students? Would you say that that's the case, Thandiwe?
Yes, I would think the best thing to do would be for people in the natural sciences to start their searches with Web of Science and Scopus. And if you want to be more refined, then you can zero in on PubMed and other databases. But it would be wise to begin with Web of Science as well as Scopus, if you want to get a broader view of what's out there.
I think that's useful, yeah. So Scopus and Web of Science as particularly multidisciplinary, broad, and just huge. Both Web of Science and Scopus just include so many journals.
Yes.
So a good starting point. Thanks so much, Thandiwe. Is there anything else you want to really highlight before I just check? And is there anyone else who's got a really important or even an unimportant question, even just a sort of vague itch? I see James is saying that in environmental science, the dominant databases are Web of Science and then Google Scholar. Of course, good old Google Scholar. It's certainly, I use Google Scholar a lot, I must be honest, just because I find it so user-friendly.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything extra to highlight. I try to put it all in the PowerPoint and mention it at this particular workshop.
Great.
I always try to have less to say so that I don't end up confusing people and only highlight what needs to be said. But if my colleagues in the room have something additional to add, please feel free to add. Yes.
So if there are any students in the room, and I think in a way we are all always students, but if there are any students in the room with specific questions about their own, any librarian colleagues have something to add, please by all means do so. But I'd like to reiterate something Thandiwe and I were saying right at the beginning before we even started, and that is that my experience of databases is that sometimes you need a little bit of patience. Don't try and mess around with databases when you're frustrated, but also feel free to experiment. You know, sometimes I put in a search and I get tens of thousands of responses, and I think, okay, well that search wasn't fine-grained enough. So a little bit of trial and error is not a bad thing. Are there any questions or comments before we call it? Oh, a question from James. Saving searches and setting alerts for when an article is cited. Some advice on how to save a search. And again, I know, unfortunately, that each database has slightly different ways of saving searches. I wish they all followed an exact uniform layout. But anything about how you would save a search. Once you finally, especially for people doing knowledge syntheses, because you spend a lot of time getting your search exactly spot on, and you have to report on your search process in your article. So you would want to be able to save that exact search. And you might even want to go back and do the search in a year or two's time and see how things have shifted. So how do we save a search, and how do we create an alert? Okay, so the first thing is we need to make sure that we are signed in. Indeed, that's one of the things. There's a lot of these. You can get quite far along, and the computer hasn't actually registered who you are yet. You can't save anything or set up alerts if you're not signed in. What's the next step, Thandiwe? I don't know if you're talking and your mic might be off because I can't hear you. No sound. Thandiwe, can you hear us? We can't hear you. Maybe your mic is off. No? Thandiwe? Hello? Oh dear, we seem to have lost sound. Oh, there we go.
No, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. So what I did is I had to stop the sharing and go back and unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I'm trying to share the screen, Scopus.
It's not sharing it at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, there, it's starting to come in.
So
okay.
I'm bringing up Scopus. It is taking forever to resolve.
That's okay.
I assume it's because of my slow internet. And I'm just going to show you the steps on how to create a profile on Scopus. Okay, I'm waiting for it to resolve.
Okay. Yeah. It's like a watched pot never boils, right?
Yeah.
I think we are all subject to these kind of delays, and we're very internet dependent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we can keep talking in the meantime. Do you want us to try and talk us through it while we're waiting, please, Thandiwe?
Okay.
Just tell us what we would do in case it doesn't come.
Yeah, I actually have how-to guides on my stick, but
okay.
Maybe I can show you here.
Okay, but if it doesn't work, you can just send me the how-to guide and I can post it on the Are You Connected if it doesn't work. Okay.
Okay, so you have the option of creating an account. So you click on Create Account, then you would need to fill in the details. Okay. So it's asking me to sign in because it recognizes that I already have a profile. So once I have signed in, you will see my initials will appear on the top right-hand corner, VM. I will then conduct a search. Let me just copy that little search at the bottom. And then I click on search. Why is it saying error when I'm using their example? Okay, I'm going to go back.
Sorry, Thandi, you left an opening quotation mark.
Yeah, I noticed that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. There. Okay, so when I have the results, I can set up an alert. I click on set alert for the particular key terms. So when I click on set alert, what's going to happen is it's going to give me alerts of articles that are published in maybe a few days' time or a couple of weeks from now. So what we see right in front of us, these are results of articles that have already been published. But if I want to keep up with research in the field, then I click on set alert, and let me just do it. I will click on set alert, then it's going to save the alert on my profile. Let me scroll to the bottom. So the title of the alert, that would be the key terms. So that's what's going to appear in my inbox, the name of the alert. It will always have the default email address that I use to create. And then I have the option of deciding on the frequency. So I can either receive my alerts daily, I can receive them once a week or once a month. And then I also have the option of deciding on which day of the week to receive the alert. It's always going to have active as default. So if you no longer want to receive alerts, you can simply click on inactive. I'm going to set alert. Okay. So I have now set an alert for the search terms. BC. Let's go back to the search. Once we're done, we will go to the alerts page so that we can see what other alerts we can do. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up an alert for an article. So I'm going to leave it at documents, and I'm going to type the title of the article. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, this is a seminal paper in my subject field. So what I want to do is I want to create an alert for this particular paper, which means that if other people are citing this paper, I will then get an email alert telling me that the paper I have set an alert for has been cited, and it's then going to link me to the articles that are citing this particular paper. So what I've done is I've typed in the title of the article and I've put it in quotation marks because I want to get the exact title. Okay. So there's one document. So it's telling me that the article was published in 2010 and the article has already been cited 8 times. I'm going to click on this particular title. Okay. I'm just going to scroll slightly to the bottom and then I click on set citation alert. So it means that any articles that are going to be published from now into the future citing this particular article, I am going to receive alerts for. Then I click citation alert. And there's the dialog box and I have to fill it in. Okay, I'm just going to leave it as is and set alert. Okay. Let's go back to the search and let's create an author alert this time. Okay. I'm going to click on authors. Initial.
You should have put Sue. Huh? I have only 2 publications.
It doesn't matter.
Haha. James, you laugh.
Okay, and then search. Okay, then I select the author and show documents.
Funny how those 2 publications became 39, eh?
Yes.
And just while that's coming up, just a reminder to people that, of course, that's another thing to issue, is that Scopus will find all of James, or whatever other search you've done, all of his publications within the very large group of journals, but it's not going to pick up any of his grey literature. So if James, for example, has ever written a report for a company or an organization or so on, which may be very important information for you to include in your knowledge synthesis, but you would then need to be able to explain, articulate in your methodology how you searched for the grey literature, where you searched, and on what basis you searched. So whatever you include or exclude in your search, you've just got to be able to not only describe it to your reader, but give a reason for it in your article.
Okay. So once we have all the results, we then click on Set Alert, and a similar dialog box will appear. Okay. And then I just set alert. Okay. The final.
And what's quite interesting to notice with alerts, by the way, is that you do need to be quite precise. I think the first time I set an alert, it was in a workshop that I was up in that Extrata room. And I think maybe it was Linda that was doing the workshop, and I set up an alert, and I was quite proud of myself. And I think my alert was for higher education research or something. Luckily, I only set it to come in once a week. You'll see that's one of the things you can choose, whether you want the alerts to come in every day or once a week or whatever. Luckily, I chose to come in once a week. But of course, there's a few thousand every week. So I very quickly learned that even with your alerts, just like with your searches, you need to spend some time and a bit of patience crafting them to really meet your needs.
Okay. The final alert that I want to create is a table of contents alert. So we're going to create an alert for a journal title. And right on top, I'm going to click on sources. So the table of contents alerts will be if the publication is a monthly publication or a bi-monthly publication. Whenever a new publication comes out, you will then get an alert of all the table of the articles contained for that particular month. So it is a table of contents. So for the next month, which is September, you will then get an alert for all the articles that are published for the month of September, if it is a monthly publication. Okay, we then type in the title of the journal and we refine with title. Okay. And then find sources. Okay. I see it actually looks different, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that view site score. I'm clicking on the title. So the last time I set an alert for a journal title, the results looked very different to what they are looking now. So this is what databases do. The publishers will always update databases. So when you go back to the actual database, you will find that it looks different than when you had carried out a search maybe a few weeks ago. And I can't seem to find the little button that says set alert on this particular search page. Jill?
I'm here.
Yes. Do you know if I did
the little
anything
bell?
wrong? Yeah.
Is it that
No,
little
the
bell
little
symbol?
The little bell is for all the alerts that I have on my account.
Oh. Oh,
I'm
okay.
actually looking for the actual button that says
To add the alert.
save. Yeah, but it's not
I
here.
haven't used Scopus for a while, so
No, they've changed the platform.
this happens. This happens, yeah, to us, you know, as librarians. Even when we're using databases quite frequently, suddenly you'll land on a page that looks quite different. So it's going to
so there it is. So
okay.
there it is. Yeah, it might have been a technical glitch or something.
But again, it shows us we just need to keep clicking around, you know, not to be shy, and just keep looking up and down and here and there until we find it.
Yes, yes. I actually enjoy when this happens, when there are people watching, so that you see that this is just trial and error. If you think it's going to be seamless, then you are in for a high jump. Yeah. And hopefully I will find the little button. So there, finally. So then I click on set document alert. Okay, I'm waiting for it to resolve before I click. There, click set document alert. Okay. Do you see that I carried out the same search several times and I received different results every single time? Now, it doesn't mean that you are doing anything wrong yourself, but it could just be a technical error. And I clicked on set document alert. And then it will have the name of the alert, the email address I used to create my account, and you also have the option of deciding on the frequency. I'm just going to leave it at weekly and on a Wednesday and set document alert. Okay. Then I'm going to have a look at all the alerts that I created this afternoon, and I click on the little bell next to my initials. So these are all the alerts, and it tells me on which date I had set the alert. And I just want to find an example of a keyword term. To go back to Sue's point earlier on, that you need to be very careful on the keywords that you use. You can come to your alerts page and then click on the edit button and refine or choose the type of key terms that you want to use, and then you can reset the alert. I'm going to close that. And furthermore, I want to point out that you also have the option of rendering your alerts active or inactive. You can delete an alert when you no longer need one. I'm going to leave it at that for now. Have I answered the question on setting up alerts? Hello?
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I think I'm going to call it closed, unless there's anything else. But thank you very much for your time and for your expertise, but also just for being available. And I know that I keep saying this in this course, but it's very clear that to do a knowledge synthesis entails having conversations and connections with the librarian staff. And in fact, the little video, I think it was Liesel made, said that, you know, that you never, when I said, do you do these knowledge syntheses on your own or do you do them in groups? Her response is, well, you never do them on your own because you're always doing them in conversation with librarians. So I think that's become very clear to us, and I'm looking forward to setting up an appointment for my own study, which is kind of growing like topsy at the moment, which is not a good thing for a knowledge synthesis. You don't want something that's growing like topsy. You want something very finite. So I think I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. Thanks, Thandiwe. Thank you to everybody.
Can I also just say something?
Yes.
Sorry, can I also, I just wanted to say thanks to Thandiwe, because I've learned a few things about Scopus this afternoon that I didn't know. So that's great. I mean, even, you know, we are constantly learning about the databases as well. So thanks, Thandiwe.
Thank you
Thank you so much. I mean, I love the idea. I think we often say it flippantly, but I hope that we mean it. As Linda just said, is that we are genuinely all learners, and if you can just hold on to that idea that we are constantly learning, it makes it possible to not only learn from each other better, but also to sort of make errors and not feel like a fool. It's one of my mantras in life, that we need to be able to share our expertise without feeling like you're not allowed to make any mistakes. And so those of you who are moving towards your assignments, which is what we're going to be talking about next week, you know, I think especially with the knowledge synthesis, making quite a few trial and errors along the way is very much part of the process. Thanks, Thandiwe. Thank you, everybody. And I will load the recording of this session shortly.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Thandiwe.
Thank you, Jill.